MIT research found that companies that claim to be merit-based are far more biased than those who don't claim to be. Here's why and what you can do about it. In this study, they gave managers identical profiles of employees. All of those respondents were people who had been actual managers, and half of them were told that they were working in a company that really valued merit, and in another one, they weren't. The ones who were told to value merit gave white men $46 more than anybody else for the exact same work, because they were presented with employee profiles that the only change was race and gender. This is because objectivity is not real. We all are subjective of our own opinions, and the closest we get to objective is having many, many opinions, weigh in on decisions. I researched the unwritten rules of work for the working class and neurodivergence and intersections of race and gender, and I can tell you that this applies to what we even consider to be professional. Professionalism is not neutral. It's upper middle class white norms that are also neurotypical. But most people don't question these, even with good intent, because they just see it as normal and the way things are and the way all organizations are. Our organizations were made at a time where women and people of color were not allowed into paid labor. And so these norms were normalized, and they are still normalized for this group. Legal changes happen to make these organizations let other people in, but it doesn't mean the norms changed. And policies like affirmative action and DEI initiatives have tried to counter the harm that is built around having only one very narrow culture rewarded. But as we've seen, when this happens, everybody screams reverse racism, reverse sexism, etc. We recently had a Supreme Court ruling supporting that, right? In the US. Interestingly, psychologist Tomas Chamorro-Premusic has an alternative perspective. He focuses on only gender in his book, but he makes the case, looking at a lot of research, that we have confused the idea of leadership with being a charismatic white dude, specifically an upper middle class one. But actual research shows that this is not what makes the best leaders. The best leaders have intellectual capital about the area that they're in, aka they know what they're doing. They're also humble, competent, and emotionally intelligent. He makes the case that if we focused on hiring for actual leadership effectiveness and not leadership perceptions, that inherently we wouldn't just have rich white men in power, because they're not the only ones who are effective leaders. If we really focus on the skills needed to do the job, we would have better leaders, and it would be more representative of what the country actually looks like. He makes the case that quotas for any person challenges the idea of meritocracy, but he truly believes that if we focus on what really matters, that this would even out. And he is saying this as a man from Latin America. I believe he's from Argentina. This is important to me in my research on the unwritten rules of work, because I say all the time that we are not rewarding people based on their task performance. We're rewarding if they know the office politics. If you're neurodivergent, working class, black, brown, a woman, or just not a man, you don't fit into what most organizations call normal or their ideal employee. You're playing by rules designed to exclude you. And all the while, we pretend these rules don't exist and that that's just how things are. And this is why I've been researching the unwritten rules of work for the past 10 years, and we'll be releasing my book this fall on that research, showing the organizational and human impact. Because once you see that professionalism is not neutral, you can start establishing norms that actually make you more money and don't make people miserable. I've released a free chapter on my website. You can get it at the link in my bio.